Okay, welcome back to Energy 101. We're talking about energy and society and how society and energy is coupled and why society likes to use energy. And today we're going to focus on the energy and the economy, how the economy is affected by energy or energy consumption is affected by the economy. Uh, we remind ourselves that of the energy flow in society, where the society use is the tail that wags the dog that creates the need to use the Earth's natural resources and then convert that energy into the form that society wants. Uh, the linkage between energy use and the economy has been studied and is fairly clear in the literature. What this graph shows is the change from the previous year of energy use, which is the blue, energy use, which is the red line, and the gross domestic product in the U.S., which is the blue line. And from 2000 and 2009, it shows the change in energy consumption and the change in the economy measured by the gross domestic product from the prior year. This is just from the prior year. And so you see from 2000 to 2001, there was a drop in the gross domestic product. We were dealing with a recession then and slowdown in the economy. And then there was a growth up until about 2004 in the GDP measured on the blue line there, and energy consumption increased also. Then it started declining and it fell off the curve in 2008 when we had a major recession, which dropped the economy into a recession and dropped energy consumption into a recession, both numbers going negative compared to the previous year's use. So we could look at many types of correlations like this, but if you look in the literature, you'll find that there's an indistinguishable linkage between energy consumption and GDP, not just in the U.S., but worldwide, and we'll see that later on. Another connection between the economy and energy consumption is that when energy demand decreases worldwide, then the energy price decreases. We could say the flip side of that also and talk about the fact that an increased energy demand worldwide increases energy price. But let's look at the energy price history here from 1986 over to 2012. This is oil price in particular, and we're looking at the demand for oil and over this period and what the economy was doing. You see the big spike there in 2008 when oil reached as high as $150 a barrel. A barrel of oil is 42 gallons. That's crude oil. And here it shows it at about 130, but the difference between that is that 130 is an average over the year. So we saw that it peaked and that it climbed very rapidly from 2007 up to 2008, and we see that the price increased dramatically. As soon as the major recession came in 2008, you can see the price absolutely plunged from an average of $130 a barrel all the way down to $40 a barrel. That's a factor of 3 drop. And you notice the price drops faster than it rises because the economy generally changes faster on the downside than it does on the upside. It's easy to have the economy fall off a cliff. It's a little more difficult to grow it and climb back up the mountain. It takes a little longer. But there's a distinct relationship there. And it takes a while for people to slow down their oil production. So if you put a surplus of oil out there and everybody's tanks are full and nobody has anywhere to put it, when nobody's using it, then the price effectively goes almost to zero. If you put out a barrel of oil for sale and nobody's got a need for it or a place to store it, then the value goes down dramatically, and that's what happened in 2008. It has since climbed back up, and it's about $80 or $90 at this point in time. So we see a linkage between the price of energy, in this particular case oil, which is more volatile than other forms of energy, and the economy. If you look at the developing countries, let's look at national standard of living. The standard of living is something that's difficult to get a quantitative measure on, but the pretty universal measure that is used is the gross domestic product that we looked at earlier. And if you improve the gross domestic product, people generally accept that you improve the standard of living because you're producing more goods with the same number of people, and it raises everybody's standard of living on the average. But we'll see that it also increases energy consumption. There's a linkage between standard of living measured by gross domestic product and energy consumption. So let's look at some quantitative data here. This is a plot on the vertical scale that shows gross domestic product per capita, and there's plotted on that graph several countries. Along the horizontal axis is the energy use per capita. So we are plotting the gross domestic product per capita on the vertical scale versus energy use per capita. And let's start off with the U.S. all the way up to the right-hand corner. The U.S. is up to the right-hand corner using about 7 units of energy per capita, and the gross domestic product per capita, which is a measure of the standard of living, a good quantitative measure, is about 37. If we move over to the left, you can see Switzerland is up almost equal to our gross domestic product per capita, but they are using it much more efficiently. But generally, as you move to lower energy use per capita, the standard of living measured by the gross domestic product declines. You move on down, you see France is down about 25 gross domestic product dollars per capita, and their energy consumption is about 4. Saudi Arabia, I put that one on there to show that they're using a lot more energy than their economy indicates, their economic activity, but that's one reason is they have very cheap energy. They produce it and they got a lot of surplus, and it's a major export, and they supply it to their citizens in a very subsidized manner. So that one's a little bit off the chart, but if you take that one off the chart, which is outlier, then you can see a good correlation. Let's move all the way down to China. You see that China is a developing nation, and it's down about 1 3/4 energy use per capita, and with about a 10 gross domestic product per capita. If they were to rise to, and now remember this is per capita, if they were to rise to our standard of living measured by gross domestic product per capita, then their energy use would go up to around 6 or so. So it would go up about a factor of 3 or 4. But you've got to remember this is per capita. They have 3 times more people than we have in the U.S. And so their energy consumption would far outscale ours. And that's one thing that frightens people, is to look at China and see them climbing up this energy use per capita line correlation as they are trying to improve the standard of living for their citizens and the implications on worldwide energy supply and the resource. You move on down. India is another one you hear is a developing nation. It's down all the way down in the left bottom corner. But this shows that the standard of living measured by the gross domestic product per capita is closely correlated with the energy use per capita. So if you want to move up the ladder to a better standard of living in any of these countries, including our own, then it means that you're going to use more energy per capita. So what we're seeing here is a linkage in society between the economy and energy use, and this will conclude our subtitled section under society and energy, and we'll move down next time to where we get this energy from in the next module, from the natural energy flow, where are we getting it from? Where's the energy coming from that we're using today? Thank you.